This is Greg Allison. The Marines are on their way to the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit is en route on the USS Tripoli, an aircraft carrier of sorts. It's really an amphibious landing craft that was considered a mistake, but may actually have the answers to clearing and keeping the Strait of Hormuz, or opening the Strait of Hormuz. Let's put it that way. So this is going to be interesting in how this plays out, because nobody knows exactly how these troops, how this aircraft carrier will be used. But given its unique attributes, I think we got some strong clues, and I'm going to share that with you tonight. It may be boots on the ground, so to speak, but probably not directly in at least the main part of Iran. But what I think that this aircraft, actually, it's kind of an aircraft carrier, but it's also an amphibious assault ship. How it will be used, I think, is going to be game changing. Can make a big difference. So we're going to go into that here, and now I am going to pull up my chat room over here so that we can keep up with people. But the main chat will be later, because I will, as normal, get through the news first. So bear with me here for a second. So here we go. I'm going to do a share screen. I'm going to show you this stuff. I'm going to show you this Expeditionary Unit 31st. And we're going to show you the aircraft carrier, the Tripoli, and all the details about it and why it can make a critical difference. Now, again, I'm not advocating anything here. I'm just talking about, how it is, what's going down, and we do need the Strait of Hormuz open. That's a fact. So we're going to do a share screen and go straight over here to this 30. Oh, is it coming on? Come on, share. There we go. 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. Now, what they're doing is they're sending basically 2,500 Marines into harm's way. But these Marines are uniquely positioned or set up for this in ways that you might not imagine. Of course, they're going on this. The Tripoli is the main ship in this flotilla. There is something of a mini carrier strike group they're going with, which includes the USS Tripoli's LHA-7, and they've got a small. They got this. Shoot, can't even talk today. Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser, the USS Robert Smalls. They got an Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer, the USS Raphael per Tala, or however you call that. And, there's a couple other ships involved in this. So this gives you an idea about the group here. If we can pull up the group here on Wikipedia, you will see that they're normally based out of Okinawa. And again, this is some of the continent ships they're going with. And some sources say the 2,500 is all on the Tripoli, and some folks say that this across all the ships. That may be why there's a dichotomy between where you're 2,500 and 5,000. So anyway, let's go into it. Let's get a little further deep. This is the Tripoli right here, the USS Tripoli LHA-7. Now, some people consider this ship a mistake, and a lot of the Navy wags really were upset about this ship because it didn't have this thing called this little well deck. It didn't have a well deck where you can run amphibious craft in and out of from the inside. A well deck in an amphibious assault ship is a partly submerged area that's got water in it that amphibious craft can go straight in and out of the bigger assault ship. And this ship does not have that. The Marines aren't meant to approach from this scenario from the water. We're coming by air. So what actually the Tripoli buys you here is that by getting rid of the well deck, they created more space downstairs underneath for up to 2 hangars for aircraft, extended service maintenance facilities, a lot more jet fuel, and the capability to have a full up surgical hospital inside this ship, which if you got troops in danger, that's a good thing to have. So it's got different capabilities, and it can sport up to 20 these. They've got a special version, the F-35 for the Marine Corps, which is a short takeoff and vertical landing version, which can actually take off on this 800-foot long deck without a catapult and land vertically, come back straight down, kind of like the Harrier jump jet. This is one of the big drive-in design considerations, and the F-35 probably made a lot more complex aircraft. They probably should have separate jets for this because it really has an extra turbine fan in the middle of it to enable to do that. All of the other F-35s are scarred for that, but don't actually carry that turbine inside. So that's one of the big things about F-35. Kind of like a horse designed by a committee, which makes it something of a camel. But a lot of us were skeptical about the F-35 when it first came out, but it's proven itself as quite a capable aircraft. So now there were 2 of these amphibious assault ships designed like the USS Tripoli. This is the LHA-7. The LHA-6 was called the America, was designed the same way. The Navy was all up in arms about, a lot of people were saying, what's an assault ship without a deck, a well deck, that you can put the landing craft in. And so they kind of forced the rest of them to be built with a well deck. Well, in this case, this is a unique advantage for operating in the Strait of Hormuz, because in the Strait of Hormuz, the Iranians had built all their defenses against people coming in from the land, coming from the sea or the air. This enables the Marines to land directly on land because they're coming from air and can operate actually from islands and coastal areas around. In this case, they're probably going to use islands and not go into Iran proper. And that's one of the key differences that we're looking at. So what they're looking at is using this new concept called the Expeditionary Advanced Base Operations. Basically, you set up an advanced base, an operations base to operate from, and these islands or sometimes coastal areas become like a little unsinkable aircraft carrier that you can set up HIMARS on to launch attacks missiles, and the PRSMs, which we like to call prisms, when I was working on the Army program for that. And these are very advanced rockets that can be launched from the HIMARS, especially the prisms, in terms of it can actually chase down moving targets. Actually, the tackles have been used for that, but the prism is based on a previous ship that would actually, hey, Veronica, could actually go after these ships a lot better. So its predecessor was the land-based ship attack, I forget what to call it, missile. Anyway, I worked on the PRISM program a little bit myself. So, and those are all Army-based, Army-designed missiles, missile launchers, and systems, but the Marine Corps uses them. So, but they can set up on these islands, and they can use the islands as bases for operating aircraft. See, the thing is, this aircraft carrier, being what you can call it an aircraft carrier or a amphibious assault ship, it's kind of a little bit of both. It's a hybrid. The USS Tripoli is. It's only compared to the 10, 15 or more billion-dollar, trillion-dollar aircraft carriers. This thing costs $3.5 billion. And so the Navy's more willing to take risks with it. It's got a lot fewer people that are going to harm's way, and it's a lot more maneuverable and a little harder to hit than a full-scale aircraft carrier. So we can actually get closer to the Strait of Hormuz. It does not have to go into the Strait of Hormuz. The thing is, it's got on board on the deck not only the F-35s, those short takeoff vertical landing F-35s, but it's also got the Ospreys aircraft, and it's got helicopters, including the helicopters that can land a lot of troops. So what it can do is it can send the troops by air into the land. They don't come across the ocean where the Iranians just set their torpedoes and their fast attack boats or robotic boats, their landmines. You go above all that and you just come down and take over an island or something like that. So it's a different scenario, which is better suited to the Gulf, to the Strait of Hormuz than anything else the Navy has. So they're about probably 9 to maybe 14 days out to getting to the Strait of Hormuz. So that's when you expect to start seeing a change. So just kind of giving you guys a little heads up on what this means in terms of naval power and why this can be a game changer. And so we're just looking at it technically. So, some people also thought this concept for Expeditionary Advanced Base Operations, EBAO, was a dumb idea, when it first started, because that's actually not been tried in combat yet. It's a new approach. What we don't know is the ability to maintain logistics to these aircraft and the Marines on these forward bases, these advanced base operations. They're expeditionary, they have expeditionary advanced base operations centers. But what we do know is these bases, once you set them up, they not only can set up missiles to fire and set up a big bubble to protect against the oncoming drones and things like that, but they can be also rearming and refueling stations for the F-35s, the Ospreys, attack helicopters, without, endangering a big aircraft carrier, just right there on the land, unsinkable. So it becomes a big tactical and even strategic advantage to be able to operate like that if you can maintain the logistics to keep them going under fire from the Iranians. But they should be able to take care of all that fire, and all that has been knocked down. So what happened? The big aircraft carriers, the Lincoln principally, took care of that, and the Air Force took care of 90% of Iranian assets in terms of their ability to launch weapons, but they can't get that other 10%. And the problem is when you're trying to open something like the Strait of Hormuz, you got to be 100%, because all it takes is one mine, one ship being attacked, and nobody will underwrite the insurance for these ships to get through, and the place is still effectively closed. And I think there's something like 150 oil tankers sitting off outside the Strait of Hormuz, burning fuel and racking up their costs that are afraid to go in. So this is a way to change that, perhaps, because here's the other thing. The Lincoln and any other major aircraft carrier is going to be operating about 500 miles offshore. If the trip, and if you're sending F-35s in to do a job, they've got about an hour flight time to get in. They get to operate for maybe 40 minutes, and they got an hour flight time back. And that gap, and they might be able to get 3 sorties a day, but the gaps in the mission time is sufficient that a lot of drones and weapons from Iran can get through. But if you're 100 miles out, you can fly more sorties. The flight time in goes down to minutes, and you can spend a lot more time, like maybe 15 minutes to get there instead of, an hour. And you can spend a lot more time on mission. Your sortie time becomes a longer actual mission, long mission. So the planes get to spend a lot more time taking out drones and other things. And that can make all the difference in the world. Very little gap between sorties when you're doing it that way. And also the WWIII can just about launch all its aircraft simultaneously and run them. They've already tested that in an exercise. So this is a big game changer in terms of being able to provide a bubble of defense around the strait. Maybe you can throw in some of those drones that we're getting from Ukraine, the drone interceptor drones, and suddenly you've got the means to keep the strait hopefully open. That's what's really impacting our economy. It's a threat to our food supply if we don't get the sulfur and other things out, the cost of food, a lot of other logistics. There's also chemicals that come out through the Strait of Hormuz. It's not just oil. There's chemicals that are used in plastics, that are used for making IC chips for computers. They're all encased in plastics. And just a lot of the things, pharmaceuticals, a lot of stuff we use on an everyday basis that stands to suddenly have an acute shortage if this isn't solved fast, because the filth of the world's petroleum and a lot of these chemicals and sulfur other ingredients for fertilizers, nitrogen, and so forth that are coming through the Strait of Hormuz. It's a very critical choke point that the Iranians have had 47 years to set up as a kill box. Basically, it's a big bathtub, and the Navy don't want to send its ships in, so they sent the Marines. You know, Trump at one time thought, well, we'll send the Navy in to escort ships, but the Navy was, no, it's too dangerous for these ships. They're too expensive. But the Marines, well, don't have to get all the way in and get closer. They're willing to risk the Tripoli more than they are those super expensive giant aircraft carriers. And of course, the Marines can operate come in from the air and operate on land. Very big difference. The Iranians did not set up defenses to be able to deal with that. For them to change games and set up those defenses, they would need some time, but they don't have the time. They don't, and all their so many of their factories have been bombed. They couldn't adjust at this point in time to deal with that. So I'm just kind of giving you guys the skinny on the logistics, the tactics, and what this means to use this Expeditionary Advanced Base Operations concept. So this stands to be a game changer. Now, then again, I can't say exactly what the Navy is going to do. And I'm going to show you 3 islands that are very likely to be the target of the Tripoli or their Marines Corps from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. So just give you guys some ideas. There's actually a tech manual here that the Marines have on this kind of operation, entire big tech manual on the EBAO advanced. Yeah, right here is big tech manual on here. Expeditionary Advanced Base Operations concept. So let's look at the Strait of Hormuz here. I don't know if I can get this to blow up just a little bit. There we go. There's 3 islands of particular interest that the Iranians took over that they had previously belonged to some of the other countries, and this is Abu Musa, and these 2 here are also known. They got a different name here, but they're known as Greater Tum and I think Lesser Tum Islands. The Iranians went in and built a lot of military base stuff on here to be able to stop. It's right in the middle of the shipping channels, right in the middle of the shipping channels, and Iran put a lot of military assets on these islands. Now, you can bet we bombed them, and we bombed the heck out of it. But what we don't know is there could still be some residual force there with a few drones or something. That's all it would take to really shut everything down there. So this is something to take into account here, that those 3 islands are very likely targets for this the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit coming off the Tripoli. And the Tripoli could probably sit out here and launch these guys across here. Oh, yeah, by the way, in case you hadn't heard it, Newt Gingrich has put up an idea to nuke this peninsula, about 21 nukes to open up a new channel that bypasses the strait here. I kid you not. I'll show y'all that in a little bit. But hey, it might not be such a bad idea, but anyway. So yeah, the United Arab Emirates had owned these 3 islands here, but Iran took them over. Now there's other islands out here in the Persian Gulf that would be of interest. They might try to take. There's quite a few islands out here, but these 3 haven't been armed the way they are probably a high priority target. You can see how this was UAE and that was Iran, but Iran kind of pushed it back. You had Oman right here. It's technically on in part of the water, but you know how that goes. So who owns the water is who keeps anybody else from moving through it. And at this point in time, it's kind of sort of Iran. But this Marine Expeditionary Unit, the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, is very likely to change that. Very, very likely. Now, it's possible they could go into shores temporarily, into a few things at a few spots, but I think they're really probably going to aim for islands, and top priorities would probably be these 3 islands, Abu Musa, Greater Tum, and Lesser Tum. So in any event, let's go through and look at some more of this stuff. So what's oil doing? We're going to come back to that in a little bit, but what's oil doing? You can see it went, this is for crude oil futures. This isn't actual price. This is futures. You can see it was up, went down a lot. And now it's kind of creeping back up again because there's still not a lot of confidence that we can get that straight open. And that really is driving our what you and I are paying at the pump. So if they can really open that strait and prove they can keep it open, well, they got to clear mines out first too. Uh, One thing that the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit can do there is they can actually, with providing that defensive bubble, they essentially provide a means for the minesweepers to go into that area safely. And so, what would it might have taken months can probably be done in possibly as little as a couple of weeks in terms of clearing that out. So it could be totally like a month before they can really get things cleared out there to open the strait. And this unit may have to stay there until they're really sure that the Iranians aren't going to be firing anything anymore. And I don't know how you get sure of that, because I don't think we're taking out the regime there. At least I don't think that yet. Uh, and we're not going to be. It would take us 500, maybe 600,000 troops on the ground to actually do a regime change there, and I just don't see that happening. And because the public isn't going to support it, and that's a sure sign of a military operation that's not going to work. So you may hear my cat cats running around in the background. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I got 3 new kittens here, but in any event, here's one of them. So meet Spunky. Anyway, so let's go on to this some more here. So, yeah, this I was going to show you some more of this. Yeah, this is kind of like one of those uh, the whales, inside looks like, and this is an amphibious landing craft. So, just to give you another shot of that. So now there's top admirals saying U.S. forces are hitting more than just Iranian warships or destroying. Let's talk about the Navy, mines, drone boats, and torpedoes. Goes in. This is just the kind of standard stuff we've been hearing over and over about what's going on in the war. Now, there's another wrinkle. We know the 82nd Airborne is on alert, on call. They may be deployed. If for some reason, and I don't think this is the case, if the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit was to be sent to land, they're not going by themselves, not 2,500 people, at least not unless they're just zip in and zip out. They find a target that's not well defended and going to be in and out real fast because just trying to invade any part of Iran, even temporarily, would be a big problem. But whereas it's going to take them several days to get there, on the order of a week or more, the 82nd Airborne or the 101st Airborne, 82nd mainly, can be there in just hours. In hours, they can be dropping out of planes and parachutes. Now, what the 82nd would do if they parachute in, they still got to get out, right? They would set up a perimeter and build an airfield. That's the first, among the top priorities that they would do. And then they would be bringing in, there are some troops that aren't even airborne, they would bring in on the airfield when they do that. So that would be a top priority usually of the 82nd Airborne. They got to develop their way to get out. You can see why I named this as Spunky. She's all in my face here. So in any event, what we got here is the 82nd Airborne Division is based at Fort Bragg. That was my first duty station when I was in the Army. And they're comprised of several regiments and battalions. Now, regiment basically is just a hereditary name for a battalion. So each of these have 3,000 to 5,000 people each. And there's you had the 1st Infantry Brigade, 2nd Infantry Brigade, 3rd Infantry Brigade Combat Team. They got artillery, Combat Aviation Brigade, and Airborne Division, Sustainment Brigade, and they've got a ton of other support units at Fort Bragg that would be landing with them as soon as they get that airstrip put in, should they do that. So this is how they operate. And so there's literally thousands and thousands of troops across all these units should they decide to deploy. Then you got the 101st, which comes in on helicopters basically. And they're similarly organized with brigades and battalions in here. Battalion is basically 5 companies, headquarter company, A, B, C, D companies. And companies are typically, you may have remember some movies about platoons. They're usually made of 2 or 3 platoons. And platoons usually have maybe four squads in them, three or four squads, and a squad usually has two teams. And teams, there'll be A team, B team, and one team's 3 man, and one team will be 4 man. So a squad is typically a 7-person group. So that's kind of how this is, well, that's the way I remember from back when I was in the Army, umpteen imp decades ago. I got out, back in the mid 80s. So, uh, in any event, I spent a couple of years in the Guard. I forget how the Army. So there we are. That's just kind of a synopsis on what could go if we wanted to put troops on the ground for some reason. I hope we don't. But there is talk about putting perhaps 5 to 10,000 troops to go after the nuclear facilities at Isfahan, Fordo, and Natanz. Now, I really kind of don't expect that to happen, and here's why. Because one, Trump says we bombed it all and destroyed it all. I made my case that we didn't actually hit the centrifuges because we had where that most of that uranium is at. They got 440 kilograms of enriched uranium, enriched at 60%, and they're mixed in a gas with uranium hexafluoride. That stuff is extremely toxic, and had those centrifuges been hit, the guys wouldn't have been operating around the holes where the bunker busters went through, running around without any special protective gear. So that's my indication. Nobody else has ever talked about this on YouTube or anywhere else. You only get that here, but because I'm an engineer, I'm researching. I'm an engineer, and I'm prior service military. I'm a veteran. I wasn't in the Navy though, but I definitely have the military background. So this is just something to take into account, is that they may go on to try to take this stuff. However, even if that stuff was moved to the PICX facility, which is what I suspect, and if the Iranians saw our forces, knew our forces were coming, they would probably dynamite the entranceways themselves to make it where our guys would have to come in with heavy equipment and dig it out. If suddenly you got to be sitting there doing a mining operation with heavy equipment to dig something out, then you're a target. And that would be a very difficult operation to dig that stuff out. So I would think that it's not so likely that we will be sending those forces in to get the nukes. I could be wrong, though. We might decide to go for it, because here's the problem. Two of the objectives were supposedly to get stop Iran from having a nuke and regime change. The prospects of doing a regime change are exceedingly small. I've covered that in a previous video, talking about how the Iranian war ends. And the prospects of getting that nuclear material is somewhat less than absolutely spectacular. So we're probably not going to achieve either one of those. But what we have done is we have weakened the regime quite a bit. It'd take them several years to get back up to where they are today. Then what happens? It's going to be madder and meaner than ever, unless we just luck out and the protesters can take them out. But how the protesters are going to do that when they're not armed? Now, indeed, the Israelis have gave them a virtual means to be armed. They can call in strikes on RGC choke points and headquarters and things like that. But in terms of man on man in the field, yeah, that don't work too well. So I still don't see how they can really do it without being armed. I think the chances may be better now, but they're still weighed against the protesters. So I see all these channels talking about how Pavli is, set up his little government. He's ready to go. I wouldn't bet money on it. Wouldn't hold my breath for that. It's a sad thing for the people there. Yeah, no PPE, no personal protective equipment, David Jones. You're exactly right. And that's why I say we didn't hit them. We didn't get the centrifuges. Absolutely didn't. So I'm just not buying that narrative. I think the centrifuges got moved, which means they can still enrich uranium if that's the case. So, and then maybe they're doing it. That PICX facility, how well is it developed? Is it ready? Is it not ready? Did they just stash things in there or other places? So that's nothing we don't know. It's exactly where the stuff is, or if they just distribute it through a whole bunch of their underground tunnel networks in various different places. It may be exceedingly hard to get that stuff out. Not impossible, but that would be a costly operation. In an ideal world, we'd be able to get in and get it out fast, but it's not an ideal world. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Is Trump going to push for that? Will other people push for that? Or are they going to declare victory and go home and then leave it for other people later to go in and do it all over again? And it might be far more difficult then. If that is to be done, let's hope that that job is left with Israel, not us. Um, I think they could probably handle it at this point. My cats are tearing the house down. Those little kittens. Holy smoke. Anyway, so let's move on, guys. Um, you can promote my channel and help yourself here a little bit if you take this into consideration. You know, I've covered in several videos that all these 8 F-35s destroyed and missile attack, more military personnel lost. Hey, Arnold, well, that's going to be happening. It's amazing we haven't lost more than we have, to be honest. So we got these 12 companies here that own over 550 consumer brands, my friends. All these things, a lot of them started out you thought was nice, good products. They all belong to these big conglomerate companies. And the stuff you get in them now, the things you get with them, is full of chemicals. I already covered that to some degree. This stuff is got a lot of chemicals in it that aren't good for you. And we have talked that a lot. Maybe we'll talk it some more. But these, these companies here are also pretty much linked together, and controlling interest in them usually comes from our good friends at these asset management companies. I say good friends very facetiously, because if you go back and look at who's supporting, you go look at the sponsors for the House of Klaus, who's paying for that mess. It's these guys, along with these guys. And the head of BlackRock Larry Fink also happens to be now took Klaus Schwab's spot. So if you want to keep supporting Klaus Schwab and the House of Klaus, yeah, just keep buying this junk here. If you want to get, more, slather more chemicals on you, Gillette, Old Spice, just keep buying this stuff here. But if you want to stop supporting the House of Klaus and go with cleaner product, you can go to switchwithgreg.com. I set this website up myself. This is my website. You fill it out and you can come down here and look and see more of this. You got that wheel there. You'll find out more about this stuff. It's a family-owned company. Products are made here in the United States, plant-based. There's no chemicals in it. They test it rigorously for safety. And the cool thing is just supporting American jobs because it's all made here in America. So check it out. You can just go up here and fill out this form, submit it, and you'll be contacted by my friend Lisa, who's working with me on this because I've just got too much to do to chase that to the nth degree. Oh, well, we'll look at earthquakes a minute, Tiffany. Interesting. Yeah, Cuba's having another kind of earthquake, a political earthquake, too. We'll talk about that just a little bit. And we're going to be changing topics a little bit here. We're going to be moving to different aspects of this war stuff. So the Iranian parliament says, hey, we got terms for ending the war. But their terms for ending the war is that the United States or Israel will never attack them again. Well, consider if you leave this current Ayatollah clerical regime in power, the IRGC, given the way they hate us and they hate us more now than ever, I kind of think it would be hard to say that we'd never hit them again, or Israel would never hit them again. I don't think the United States or Israel, particularly Israel, would never go along with that. So that's a no-show, a showstopper. I don't see this being accepted. So, and they probably know that. A lot of the things that's been put up on both sides, at one point, the Iranians were saying that they wouldn't even negotiate with the United States or Israel. Well, how are you going to get peace with us if you don't negotiate with us? But then there's other articles saying that indeed they are negotiating. So there's a public face and there's the, behind the scenes face. In the fog of war. So what you hear isn't necessarily what's going on. It's just like this, we're hearing that Mojtaba Khamenei is dead. We hear rumors that Bibi Netanyahu's dead, or maybe each or one of them is highly injured, in a coma, blah, blah, blah. We don't know yet. We just don't know. But they give us proofs they're alive, but those proofs aren't very good. Like, a guy drinking a drink that's defying gravity when he's drinking it as a proof that he's got 5 fingers from the 6-finger AI video. When you keep cranking out AI videos to try to prove somebody's alive, something's mighty fishy. Something's mighty fishy. Anyway, So they say Mashtaba Hamani cheated death by just a few seconds because apparently he walked outside the compound to take a little walk right before it got hit. But he was close enough that he got gravely injured. So I don't know. That's the stories we're hearing so far. That's the stories. And here is where Newt Gingrich has been calling to use, and it says a dozen nukes to open the Strait of Hormuz. But again, what they're talking about there is making a new channel through here, a canal basically, by just using the nukes to excavate. And there was something called Project Plowshare, where they thought about using nukes for engineering projects like canal building. So that's not new. What do you got to do for radiation? Or they be detonated deep enough underground that the top caves in and builds a canal without radiation getting out? How are you going to deal with it? I don't know. That's an open question. How are you going to deal with that radiation? So let's move on. And we got the Saudi Crown Prince here. Says, well, these Iranian attacks on the Gulf Coast states threatens regional security. Their water supply is what I'd be most worried about. We got this little cat climbing up here on me. Look at this thing. She's climbing up here. She just climbed me. She wanted to back up here. That's why I call her Spunky. All right. And she's purring already. So there we are. Yeah, these kitties are too little to be outside any. So, but while he's pointing that out, he's calling for strikes. He's urged Trump to hit Iran hard, keep hitting Iran hard, because they want him knocked down too. But now Gingrich has come back, and so he's had a couple things to say about this. But he's also pointed out the public is not going to support this war for long. In fact, most of the public don't support it right at all right now. And I imagine most people here don't. Some probably do, some probably don't. But in any event, the yeah, little kitty, yeah, she's tiny. She is a tiny little kitty. Smokey was about the size when I got him. I think Smokey was even littler. Smokey was tiny when I got him. I could put him in one hand. But anyway, he was a tiny little kitty. Now he's a big cat. Anyway, so basically he's serving notice that if this war goes on more than if he hits the 60-day limit, it's going to be a problem. That's where you got the thing with the War Powers Act. So he just basically said this. He said, I think they're talking about Trump. I think the public, will back him for a little while. Not really, but they will not back him forever. So that's what he basically said. They will not back Trump in this war forever. Well, I think we know that. The only thing that might have to last is we might have to keep somebody on those islands, something like the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit until that is abated. But we'll have to see. Yeah, a little bitty kitty here. She climbed up on me. She climbed me. So I can't keep her out of the broadcast here. All right. Oh my goodness, kitty. She's purring up a storm. I don't know if y'all can hear her purring. I'll bring her next to the microphone. She kind of quieted the purring down. If I hold her close, she purrs more. Cuba's electrical grid is collapsed completely. It's off and on. Sometimes they get it back on, but they're out of fuel. The leadership of Cuba, they've looked over and saw what happened with Maduro. They see what happened to Ali Khamenei, the previous Ayatollah and Iran supreme leader, and they decided they need to negotiate. But the people there, the populace, they don't want them in charge at all. They don't want them to negotiate. They're rioting and calling for freedom. So the current leadership is in Cuba is fighting to stay in office, but they're talking about basically switching and negotiating with the United States. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So, in any event, so Cuba is going to be changing a lot very fast. We'll just have to see which way it goes. Yeah, Trump does want a new leader there. I'm sure he does. But at the same time, I think they're more interested in the outcome. How will Cuba align themselves than the necessary who's running it? they seem willing, like in Venezuela, to negotiate with some of the people that are there. Show a couple other things here real quick. So now China, look, all their defense systems, we just went through them like a knife through hot butter. All their radars, all their anti-air missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, we just went through them like they didn't even exist, and so they're highly embarrassed. So they're coming up with some new technology they're incorporating to make their radars more effective. They're claiming now they can identify decoy drones, rural targets, swarm attacks. They're using AI. So it's interesting to see what they'll come up with. I hope they're a long time in filming it. Let's hope that they build the stuff like Timmy. Now, here's something I warned you guys about months and months and months and months, maybe a year ago. I did a video talking about Chinese robotics, and I talked about how they would make up for their demographic shortfall with robotics or working at. And I talked about how they roboticize their military. And one of the things I told you they would do is develop robotic horses. They hadn't done it yet. I said they would do it. And here they are. China's deep robotics unveils robot horse. And this one's got a 110-pound payload carrying capacity. You can bet they'll go up, be able to carry a human or robotic jockey. But there they are. I kid you not. I told you guys about this sometime back. I said it would happen. Why? Because it just made sense. It made a lot of sense. It's also, if you look at prophecy, there's all these horses in the Battle of Armageddon. But those horses, some of them breathe fire, and some of them had heads like lions, like the Kawasaki horse. It's got a head that looks more like a lion than anything else. So this fits. Oh my goodness, Kitty. Oh my goodness, Kitty. This fits. Hey, I told you guys about this. Y'all thought I was crazy. Well, you heard it from me before you heard. Yeah, let's hope it's all Timu. We hope they got Timu horses, Timu troops. But guys, I warned you guys. What's up, Kitty? What's up, baby? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But nobody else brought this to you guys. I brought it to you first. I ain't heard anybody else say it yet. They'll be coming out with it pretty soon. Same way with sleeper cells. I talked to you guys about sleeper cells long before anybody else did. So bet on robo horses. Exactly. The cool thing about it, for Chinese standpoint, they want to go to electric vehicles, electric horses, electric robots. All they got to have is a portable power unit to generate electricity they can take with them, and they don't have to be taking in fuel. They may have portable nuclear reactors or something like that. Oh, can't. Or they may be beaming power from space or something like that. So you can bet this is a logistics advantage to them to do that. And you don't have to feed and water a robot horse like you do a biological horse. So they got a lot of advantage. Plus, they can make them fast. They don't have to wait to breed them to grow up. So I'm going to go through the chat here in a minute. We're almost done going through the main news part. Earthquake. Somebody mentioned the big earthquake down in Cuba? Well, there they are. Let me zoom in. We got one other big one right down here. That's a 5.0 in Chile. So let's zoom in. We got, these are smaller than 5.0. It's like a lot of smaller earthquakes around the normal areas. You got, Kamchatka Peninsula, Japan, something close to Guam, Philippines, all through Indonesia, the Tonga area here. We get those a lot. But Fiji. So let's zoom in and check it when I hit Cuba. Puerto Ricans are dancing a bit. San Dominicans dancing. All right, so I can grab the outer circle, see what that is. There we are. 5.8. Yeah, that's a pretty big one. 5.8. Their buildings aren't really built for earthquake codes there. So I imagine that was devastating. Anybody seen a report on that? How bad, Tiffany? I imagine that was deficit. The 3-horse and ride. Yeah, 3 horsemen, huh? Meow. Well, you just seen the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, maybe. I don't know. Uh, or the horses mentioned in the book of Revelation anyway. All right, sun. We got an active sunspot right now. Just throwing out some little CMEs. This is it, 4394. And it put out an M2.7 class solar flare. It's not nothing that's going to cause us any problems here, but it is a solar flare. This sunspot has been ratcheted up. It could grow more. It's not facing us directly yet. Let's hope that it don't get too much more active. And I am being bitten right now for a minute. Cat likes to play rough. Got to calm her down. I don't know. I'm not a cat. I don't play like cats. So come down here to the. Oh, now they say they discovered a black aurora, and most aurora comes from electrons coming down from space to Earth, but sometimes electrons can go the other way, and that forms what they call a black aurora. You ever heard of that one? That's a new one to me. I used to see auroras a lot. Asteroids, no big changes here. We still got that one coming 7/10 of the way between the Earth and the Moon, toward the Moon, on 14th of April. So that is still occurring. Atlantis is off Cuba. Well, there's an area subsided off the side of Cuba from the radar, sonar. It looks like Pyramid Complex, a big one. It's kind of interesting, but it's way down. It must have just subsided down. All right, there we are. Awesome. Oops. The Marine. I didn't want that to start sounding off. Just thought I clicked on it. Holy smoke! I thought I had the sound killed on this computer. I got to go kill the sound. Yeah. Cat, you can't be on my table, on my desk. Let's see here. I got to go kill that in a minute, but give me a second. All right. I'm going to put this cat down. She's going to get on my desk. Well, the computer's at. Can't have that. All righty, folks. That, for our coffee club members that watch in the morning, that is the news segment. I will go into the chat room and converse with you guys for a little bit, and then we'll do the egg guess. We have been going for 46 minutes. I hope we can keep it down to an hour tonight. Get the likes up for great. Yeah, thank you, see, Shelly. I do need some likes, guys. The algorithms have been stomping me. You guys, hey, Keith in Arizona. People in my area took down their Trump flags. 45 was great, 47 not so much. Yeah, a big difference. Trump is taking on a different persona this time. But, he's also this time took campaign funds to run for president, which he didn't do the first time. So maybe he's a little bit on this time around. Something is different, but I had some suspicions about him. It's this. He's a New York billionaire. He ran with all those people that, that we consider reprehensible. I mentioned this in a video some long time back. And, he stood for the bump stock, band. He was all behind his Operation Warp Speed, if y'all remember that. He never fired the man whose name rhymes with Ouchie. It starts with an F. He threw what really got me was, cats don't attack my ankles now. He threw who was the WikiLeaks Julian Assange. He threw Julian Assange under the bus, and he did those in his first term. So I got kind of suspicious of him. I got thinking this, that's why I always tell you guys, trust no man. Maybe Georgie, maybe blackmail. He's done a lot of things that are good. I like that he came out and fired a lot of the top civil servants. Cat's coming back up. Fired a lot of the top civil servants in the government. I like the fact he pulled us out of so many UN agencies, NGOs, defunded a lot of those. I think that's all good. I actually think we need tariffs because we can't compete with China if they're out producing us. We really messed up when we outsourced our industry, and tariffs could help correct that. So I think we need tariffs, especially on China. And Kitty Cat and these other countries have been all complaining they had tariffs on us all along. So now they, oh my gosh, how can you do tariffs? Hey, we got us. Thank you. See, Chris, thank you so much. Let me give you a salute. I got the cat home arm here. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. And with that, I'll actually take a sip of coffee. There we go. Mm. Gotta do something still with. I'm gonna be doing a video probably tomorrow on on North Korea. There's some interesting things shaking with North Korea, and it may pose unique problems. Now, we're just taking a lot of our arms out of the east, around Korea and out of South Korea. And this 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit left Okinawa. The Iowa, the Tripoli might have served us well if it stayed in Okinawa in terms of being able to deal with China. So we've taken a lot of that stuff and put it in around Iran. Now, there is one thing that we might bear in mind, though. A lot of people complain because Trump took the sanctions off Russia, which they think, well, now the Russian economy helped, and that's bad for Ukraine. But there's another impact of that. No one else has talked about. I'm going to bring it up. I should have done this in the news, so maybe section of this. So maybe I'll have to bring it up in a future video. China was thriving on exceedingly cheap embargoed oil. They were getting it from Venezuela, mainly from Iran, and from Russia. Now, Russian oil is not going to be so cheap. Suddenly, all China's cheap sources for oil are poof, and their economy is already really strained. So this is going to take some of the wind out of China's sail. Some people are suggesting this whole campaign in Iran might keep China from attacking. I'm not convinced that it could, but I'm not convinced that because there's arguments going both ways. We got Drops in. Thank you, Drops. Good to see it. Yeah, I got to read through the chat room in a second. So, cat, this cat's name's Spunky. Can you guess why? I got two other cats. She's the one that's all over me. And literally all over me. She is a spunky one. So I named her Spunky. Okay, Spunky. Yeah, I see she's going for my face. Anyway. So that's a different dimension to it. So let me do this. Let's go here and look at the chat real fast. See what you guys are actually saying. And bing, bing, bing. I'll take it from the top. And let's kill the sound on it. I'm going to play it, make sure I'll let it play because I do want to not hinder the chat room. Mr. Dunham, Stan the man. We got Nanny Anderson, Davis, Chris, Carol, Punjab. Okay, we got Pujim Pripa. What about Iranian armor and tanks? Well, we may not have to face them. Tanks can be taken out. We know we saw what the Ukrainians did with Russian tanks. They can be seen. Anything can be seen these days can be destroyed. Look at the road of death that happened with when the Iraqis were trying to flee Kuwait. Everything on the highway got wiped out. So-called highway of death. Cars, anything and everything. So hopefully we won't send that kind of ground troops in. So as long as we stay out, I think we'll be better off. Green eggs and worms. green eggs and ham. Green eggs and ham. I think I called it Palantir fails again. I think Palantir failed with identifying certain things. I've talked about that in the past right here in this country. So, like sleeper cells and things like that. Chihuahua. Was it with Chihuahua there, Rick? Hey, Marie, how you doing? Fun time. Wow, early tonight. Yeah, I'm trying to get a little bit earlier. I have to get up started in the morning. It wipes me out. So I'm trying to switch things around when I do this. I don't know if I can keep it up. Dan TV 23. Some reports are that countries in the region might be pivoted from a U.S. alliance to a Chinese one. I think that's a suicidal move. Trump's got a lot of bluster, but I still think they're better off with us. China will lure them in like a little hissing hypnotic snake, and then devour them if it can down the road. China's ultimate plan is world conquest, and aid and abet China will steal your intellectual property. They've been stealing ours hand over fist. They will undercut your industries and try to bury your economy. That's how China operates. So making deals with China, and then China, look what kind of ally China is. If you count on China as an ally, just look how they defended Venezuela and Iran. So you want them for an ally? What this is, what it represents is the globalist in the world who don't want to be a part of the anti-globalist movement that's within the Trump administration. So that's why they're kicking back, because they want their globalism. They want European Union. We got Starmer over as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He really wants to get everything back in with the European Union. And some of them do. But, Brexit, hopefully that was a step in the right direction to break this globalist trend. So the globalists want to take the United States down. That was their plan all along. In fact, they had a definite plan. In fact, the United Kingdom helped set up the Council for Foreign Relations as basically a branch of their round table they had to try to subvert the United States and pull it back under their influence. Of course, World War II changed some of the aspects of that, but the CFR is never really, what's scary is almost every administration, every presidential administration has been staffed with a ton of people from the CFR. Just go look it up. The CFR has not been looking after the interest of you and me. They've been pro-globalism all along. And this is how you get things like the CIA being who they've been. They've not been looking after our interests. And this is why we really want MAGA. But, does MAGA include invading Iran, or the war we've had over there? That's a big question. Now, you can make the case that Iran actually has taken out a few thousand American lives, because there was the bombing in the embassy in Beirut, the Marine barracks in Beirut. There was a bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Kenya and U.S. Embassy in Tanzania. Now, I, at the time, was married to a Kenyan, and her sister used to walk in front of that embassy back and forth twice a day, every day. And we were worried that something might have happened to her. Fortunately, she wasn't going through there when the place got bombed. People in the streets were injured. Then there's the IEDs that Soleimani developed and fielded both to Iraq during the Iraqi War and to Afghanistan to take out a lot of American troops. The IEDs came from Iran. And Colonel Cole, who's in our chat room a lot, he lost some of his troops to that, and he was glad to see that happen. So you could say that Iran's been at war with us for 47 years. They took our hostages when they first went in. So they're not innocent. They call us the great Satan and Israel the little Satan. So if they develop atomic bombs and ICBMs, with their religious fanaticism, you don't know what they would have done. They don't think rationally. They're trying to get that 12th Imam to come out of his cave, some of them. So I'm not saying that we should have went in, because I really think we should have saved our munitions for China. But maybe they've looked at this and thought, well, China's not going to move immediately, and maybe we can rebuild munitions before then. I don't know, because Trump is trying to increase the rate we're building new munitions. But it's something you got to think about with Trump. And maybe he's doing some things that are right now. But there's this thing called the Great Deception in the Bible. And it may not be this at all. It could be something far bigger, and I think it probably is. And it might be something to do with, what they'll claim space aliens when there's really demons. But we got tornadoes. Tiffany, y'all got a bunch of tornadoes in Alabama right now. Y'all had snow this morning or late yesterday, and it's supposed to get up to volcano Hunga Tonga, release some more water vapor to the atmosphere. Yeah, okay. So there is Okay, you're calming down now. Good. So there is something I worry about is this. Think about this. I've done a thought experiment. Let's say you are the uber elite in the world, and you know there's a growing movement in the United States that's not happy with you, that really wants to return the United States to its original principles. And that movement is growing. They could see it happening. Then maybe they would want somebody to co-opt that movement, to act like they're the leader and spear point for it, when really and truly it's somebody they would install who would give us an impression that's what they're doing, but maybe the end game is something different. Is that what we're seeing with Trump? I've got to wonder, because I did a video during his first administration and I asked if Trump was a covert agent of the deep state. I lost a ton of subscribers. People got mad as all crap at me. I was just asking the question. I'd say, look, he was a New York billionaire. He palled around with the Clintons and a lot of other nefarious people like Epstein, in that incarnation of his life. Now, maybe he's seen things better. Maybe he's not there today. But, he did say no wars, no engagements in World War. Now, maybe Bibi Netanyahu conned him into it. But maybe it's just because it was a once in a lifetime opportunity because the Iranians had already been knocked down by the 12-day war and we thought they were going to do something. I don't know. But what I tell you is put trust in no man. Not 100%. Trust no man. I've said it many times, and that's exactly what I mean. Trust no man or woman. I've used that term generically. Trust God. Don't trust humans, because even a good person, given too much power, goes bad. Is that old adage from Lord Acton that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Don't forget that. They just put a good cop in for bad cop. He's no better than Bush Sr. Bush Sr. really gave me the heebie-jeebies. I hope he's better than that, but that man was definitely New World Order, and so was his son. W was too. Both the Bushes were definitely globalist. And, that's why, they would fight in the campaigns like, Bush the elder and Bill Clinton. Boy, you'd think they were worst enemies. As soon as all their presidency is over, they were best buddies in the world. They go running around all over the world together, hobnobbing. What does that tell you? It should tell you a lot. Should tell you a lot. So, like I say, trust no man. Now, like I said, I do like the policies of pulling us out of the NGOs. I thought Doge was a great idea. It ended probably mainly because the liberals were burning down Tesla dealerships and attacking the people they conned into buying Tesla cars in the first place. They're basically eating their own because liberals don't think. So, you know, read my lips, exactly. He got conned into that. They hounded him to raise taxes. They hounded constantly. They think he is the worst person in the world. So all you heard in the news constantly, we got to raise taxes. They hounded. As soon as he relented, they pounced on him. They set him up for that. But still, he didn't hold his word, and he paid for it. He paid for it. And that may be happening with Trump. Now, what I worry about is that's going to cause the Democrats to win in the midterm in the House and Senate. So what that means is you got to look at the big picture. Forget Trump. What you get then is New Green Deal. You get socialism, rolling back in the NGOs, rolling back in, opening the borders, changing our country radically. You'll see a big new Green Deal. You'll see us move toward globalism real fast, socialism. It will be a disaster. And they'll say, look, you guys, look what y'all did. And, they'll point at us and ridicule any conservative. So I don't think MAGA has to be Trump. MAGA is an idea. Make America great again. Just putting America first. There's nothing wrong with the basic idea, but he didn't stay true to his word. So he's a puppet. Well, he may be. He may well be because he did take campaign money this time. So Why he did that, I don't know. But, he did take campaign money. And Peter Thiel put some money into him. And I said, that's another thing. Y'all talked about Palantir. Peter Thiel put a lot of money into Trump, or whatever that is or isn't worth. See, there's another road to globalism, and that is through corporations, the big corporations, which that's who's funding really the WEF. So that's why a lot of people don't realize it's not all just government. And these heads of these corporations are promoting socialism too, but it's not real true socialism. It's not real true communism, because they still want to be the elite. And what they want to do is kick out the ladders where you can't get there and have you living in a 15-minute city, riding your tricycle, eating the bugs while they fly around in their jets and eat caviar. That's what it boils down to. I mean, look at all the times they went to Davos flying in their jets to conspire ways to control, invoke climate laws where everybody else has to restrict their lifestyles. If that's not hypocritical, what is? Well, they shut the tariffs off somewhat. I don't know. Yeah, we're supposed to get a refund check, weren't we? I think they gave a check to the veterans of $1,776 or something. Not veterans, I meant the people in the military. So there's a lot of promises that didn't quite work out. And that's one thing you got to be careful. I've got to get some shut eye. Okay, Tiffany, thanks for joining us. Appreciate having you here. We're not going to go much longer. We're going to try to end tonight a lot earlier than we typically do. Yeah, there's a lot of questions, and quite frankly, the MAGA movement lost a lot of young people when the war started. And a lot of the people in MAGA have been anti-war. So this is a lot of people consider themselves betrayed by that. And all this Epstein stuff is just really fishy, really fishy. I don't like the way that's handled. So there's a lot of questions, guys, a lot of questions. Why would they skip over Ezekiel's war and call this one Armageddon? No, this ain't Armageddon yet. Yeah, you're right. We got some other things to come. And this might be Ezekiel's war because, it sounds like there's another war in the Mideast that occurs before that. So just things I'm pointing out. I mean, uh, I'm trying not to be a shill for anybody or anything. This whole war we're in, I'm not advocating it because I thought we should have saved munitions for China, and we should avoid war with them too if we can avoid it. But sometimes somebody don't let you avoid war. If they're planning to attack you, if you know they're planning to hit you, you need to hit them first or fight them on your terms instead of their terms. And China has already basically declared war on us. I've said for a long time, they're at war with us, and we're just too dumb to know it. And all you got to do is look at what they do, and yeah, keep on prepping. You're right, Keith. Keep on prepping. That's the bottom line. But they've been hitting us with the drugs constituents that's come to this country. It's taking out over 100,000 Americans a year. And, they've stole our intellectual property. They've set up biolabs in this country, snuck in other bioagents into the universities. Got sleeper cells here. Well, now she's about to go to sleep on me here. So it's just a lot of questions. So we're going to have to deal with that. If they take Taiwan and they got the first island chain compromised, and there's suddenly a blue water navy, what will they do? How far will they go? We don't know. Thoughts on Greater Israel? I think Israel wants more than they ought to grab for. Now, if they're doing it in cooperation with the states around them just for peace, fine. If the Abraham Accords may work amongst the nations there, but if they're planning to militarily expand further, that's probably an issue. But Ronald Reagan. I used to like Ronnie Reagan. I said, Ronnie Reagan. He's my president, Ronnie Reagan. And he did start the Star Wars initiative. They're all, they all got problems. No human's perfect, by the way. We all got some kind of warts and knots, but some of them are a lot worse than others. One of my biggest issues with Trump is his ego. He can't ever admit he's wrong. Can't ever admit anything that happens under his administration wasn't what he advertised it to be. And if you try to say otherwise, he'll attack you. That's not good. He should have open discourse. His ego is a problem. Uh, and that's why the liberals just he drives them crazy. Of course, some people like driving the liberals crazy. I post stuff on Facebook every now and then just stir them up. Last post I made like that, I just said, okay, time to kick the hornet's nest. I hadn't kicked hornet's nest in a week. Sure enough, they come out of the woodwork and screaming and yelling. Most of the time I ignore them. Yeah, I know you meant Reagan. So anyway, so yeah, Reagan made a big difference when I was in the Army. I went in Jimmy Carter's Army, and that's a mess. Yep. Trump never admits he was wrong. So, part of, if you saw the video I did on Galactic Gregs with my good old friend, shooting, I'm getting brain locked. Man, what's wrong, man? Getting from his name all at once. I know him well, so I'm getting brain locked. Um, we did a video about avoiding AI apocalypse, and he is basically talking about setting up a Bayesian society. And one of the key things about Bayesian is when you got assumptions, things that you believe to be true, and but you go into something, you call those your priors. Well, for that to work, though, if you discover your prior wasn't correct, you have to update it. But having politicians do that would be very difficult. So, it'd be like, okay, I was wrong. That's what it is. It's a mission of being wrong. There's nothing wrong with admitting you were wrong. But some people see that as a sign of weakness. And that's probably part of Trump's art of the deal. But he's really that way. You can tell he gets really mad if you say his big, beautiful something might not be so beautiful. And that's the whole thing about the taking out he said he took out all their nuclear stuff. If he took out all the nuclear stuff, why are we worried about today? Because he knows we didn't. But he attacked journalists. I mean, he tried to destroy journalists that were questioning that, and even people in the government. If you question that, you're likely to lose your job. If you question his narrative at all. Well, I did. I came right out and questioned it because I said, no, we didn't take it out. We didn't take out the centrifuges because there'd have been uranium hexafluoride on site, and people would have been doing the funky chicken instead of walking around with no PPE, personal protective equipment. And that's a fact. You can't deny that. I'm the only person I've heard anywhere on YouTube say it, or anywhere in the media. No one else has said or published jack diddle about it. Maybe they're scared to. But I did. Gizmo, hey Greg, how the heck are you? Nano, how you doing? We're wrapping up here. I went through the chat, and I think I went through the chat. Did I really go through it all? Yeah, I did. I went through it all. We're going to do the egg guess here, and we're going to wrap up. We were just kind of philosophizing about things. Just kind of talking about it here. I'm a conservative, and I believe we need to put America first. I believe we need to make America great again, but I think Trump's got an ego problem. And I'm not sure that that's his real intent. Now, he's taken a lot of heat, but amazingly, when it came time that that he could become president, all those attacks on him just suddenly stopped. Was it all a big game, a big show? You got to be skeptical. I don't know, guys. Well, congrats me, girl. I knew you over 20 years ago. Didn't know the second wife passed. She told me unknowingly I was married and said she loved me. Oh, we're getting married. Well, congratulations, Drops. How you doing? Don't be guessing yet. Hang on. Don't go till I say go. Oh my gosh. Veronica, how you doing? Yeah, we're about to do the egg guess. I always say don't ever go. This cat's asleep. She's on my arm. I got to pick my arm up to grab the eggs. Free beer tomorrow. I can't drink beer. I can have a sip, but I can't drink it. It'd make my heart go to the racetracks. Oh my gosh. Oh, we had other people guessing too. Okay, so that's my problem. We got too many guesses, and I'm not keeping up with them right now. I just want to say don't go till I say go. Now, I'm not saying some of you might be right or wrong. You may have got a good guess. So just hold them and go again. All right. Cat, you gotta let me. She was asleep. She fell asleep on me. Well, here she was attacking me. Now she's asleep on me. Then I woke her up because I had to get the eggs. All righty, baby. Was you happy you was asleep and I woke you up? I'm sorry. I'm sorry I woke you up. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All righty. So I live in a house. There's no doors inside the house. There's a door going in and out. No doors inside the house. So these cats can pretty much, I could probably put them upstairs and they're probably too low to go down the stairs, but there's no stopping them. Everything's wide open to them. And I'm a jungle gym that looks like for the kitty cats. All right, she's coming back up here to lay down on my tummy. All righty. So, ring Greg's. Tell it like you see it. That's what I'm doing. I'm just telling you like I see it. I don't trust any of them. Now, I may favor some of the policies, and you've heard me talk about that. But that don't mean I trust a person. How many times have I said trust no one? Trust no man. I've been saying it for a long time. And the reason for that is I know there's some questions. There's some questions. Are y'all guessing again? Stop it. I didn't say go. I didn't say go. I might have seen the right numbers. I might not have, but anybody that's guessing before what Drops posted, I'm not going to count it. Drops just posted 5. Anything before that, I'm not counting. And 5's not it. Go. How many eggs I get? Now go. How many eggs did I get? How many eggs I get today? Now I've seen, I've seen the same number pop up from different people. Miss, how do you give credit for that? How many eggs did I get today? Okay, not 3. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Whoa, Veronica. Veronica got it. Now, Veronica actually was the first person that posted 7. And she came back with it. So good. Very good. Veronica's right. You got 7 eggs. And she posted 7 early in the chat. And I said, wait till I say go. Because I don't want to have to watch a bunch of different modes. Veronica got slit you, Veronica. You got the egg guess. It is 7 eggs. So we'll do another guess here in a minute. Can y'all guess what that guess is? All right, guys, stop rolling the guesses, because I'm not going to start the next guess until the numbers quit rolling. The next guess is got to require the numbers quit rolling. You got it, Veronica, twice, actually. You got it the first time, but I said I wasn't counting people that go before I say go. But you had it. The first number that crossed the screen was your number, and you were right, but that's the way I always run it. I always tell people to wait. People to wait. Drops, Greg, do you know sea buckhorn will grow well in your area to build up the soil? Bring Greg's and ham. You're right, Captain. Sea buckhorn. I don't know what sea buckhorn is. Check it out. I'm looking at the stuff to be planted. I'm rebuilding garden beds right now. Russia Bot says, Happy St. Patrick's Day. Oh, it's St. Patty's Day. It is. Yay. Well, it's also one of our other big mod's birthdays, and she's not with us tonight. And this happens to be, unfortunately, first anniversary of Granny Atlanta passing away. So Granny Atlanta passed away a year ago today. She was a big fan of our channel. It's a food. Okay, sea buckhorn. All right, guys. How many Easter eggs out of these? How many of these eggs are Easter eggs? That's the next question. How many of my eggs are Easter eggs? Cat trying to go to sleep again. I don't know if y'all can see the cat. How many eggs are Easter eggs? Well, yeah, that mod's not in here tonight. All right, keep guessing. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. So a lot of people. Whoa, Chris Smith, you got it. Chris Smith, we got 2 Easter eggs today. 2 Easter eggs. Let me get the light on them. It's this one and that one. Those are Easter eggs. That one and that one. The blue greenish ones. Well, look at how speckled that egg is. Oh, the speckled ones tend to be usually a little bigger than the other ones for some reason. Well, that shell looks kind of wonky. It looks like it's got not smooth. Interesting. Anyway, there we are. There's the 7 eggs, the 2 Easter eggs there and there. All right, there we are. So I do want to check to see if they got any other donations. 12. Keep there as I can more Easter eggs than I got total eggs. Oh, my baby, she's a sleepy. She's sleepy. Just me to leave her alone. All righty, what we're going to do here, I'm going to check my phone. Check my phone. See if anybody sent a donation to my website. Not tonight. I'm getting a notice to renew my Elementor. All right, folks. Those are double. I hadn't seen a double yolk yet. Some of them were big, but I haven't seen double yolk yet. I did get one egg that was about that big. I've been meaning to crack it, and I forgot about it. I gotta go find that one. I've sold a few. I put it and sell that pack. So, how many chickens? I got 12 hens and a rooster. Got 12 hens and a rooster. Now I've got like, I think it's 4 Dominicers, a leghorn, and the rest of them are Easter eggers. So the Dominicers are predominant layers this time of the year. Now maybe the others will pick up as it warms up. So, oh my goodness, this one. She was all climbing on me and clawing on me and biting on me. Now she wants to sleep. This one loves me. She's the most friendly. That's why I named her Spunky. All righty, guys. Well, that I'm going to say, we're going to have to end the video. We've been going on now for 80 minutes. Got 149. That's what kind of chickens lay Easter eggs. They're called Easter eggers. There may be another name for them. That's all I've ever heard them called. Funny thing is, the guy that got my chickens from me, he didn't even know what to call any of them. He didn't know the Dominicers were Dominicers. The leghorn was a leghorn. I did grow up in the country. I don't know every breed of chicken out there, but I know a lot of the primary ones. My rooster is a Rhode Island Red. So I'm like, oh, we got a super chat drops. Thank you so much. Thank you. What's cat's going to get me here? Made the bank tonight, giving away before Lee spends it. All righty. Appreciate that. And good luck with your wedding. Wish you the best with that. And I want to say, more Diane's was in here before. The stranger drunk on Tuesday. Oh, yeah, I'm in Arizona. That's true. How do you say that? How do you pronounce that? Yeah, I'm in Arizona, Northeast Arizona. We had some called hard rocks. Okay. Lay different color eggs. Okay, fun time. Yeah, I think there's some others that do. What colors is eggs of silkies lay? I think they got an odd color egg. So kitty cat's purring loud right now. Yeah, I can't keep her off of me. She just climbs up on me. So I guess you're going to be seeing a lot more kitty cat here in the next few months. Oh my goodness, she is content. All right, folks. What I want to say is, guys, the world's a strange place right now. It's crazy. We got all this war stuff. We got sleeper cell potentials. From Iran, from China. North Korea is making some racket. The drug cartels may try to do something because we've put the kibosh on them. So there's just a lot of things going on. So everybody, well, thank you for that. And the Santa Claus there, Keith, Carol. So I want to thank our super chatters, Chris, and I want to thank also Drops. He's moved to Arkansas, and I want to thank you, mods, for all the work you do keeping the channel clean. And I'll thank everybody for watching, especially if you gave me a like. If you not gave me a like, hit the like button on the way out. But again, I want to thank everybody for watching. Just remember, this platform has been hard on me. They capped off my total subscriptions. They seem to be unsubscribing people a lot. So always check, make sure you're still subscribed. But bang, if you are not subscribed, click subscribe, bang the bell, and click all. And give me likes. Go in and make some comments after I post this video. And the cat's biting me playfully. She thinks I'm a cat. That's all play like cats. So she's still purring. Anyway, well, it's different, Gizmo. It's different. I'm out more remote now. I'm not getting my stuff stolen like I did in Alabama. I was ripped off left and right in Alabama. They love a lot of thieves around. Here, you got to go down a long, I'm not saying thieves out here in other places, but they got to go down a long dead end road to get to me here. I'm not going to have neighbors all around me. I got no neighbors around me at all. So it's quiet, it's peaceful. I got more room. So I love the sunset. So I'm actually liking it. I don't have to worry about tornadoes. Oh my gosh. So I hope everybody in Alabama, my friends are okay, because I know y'all got storms. Y'all had snow, now you got to worry about tornadoes and getting warm. So I'm worried about you guys. Um, and I up north, they had some heavy snows in Minnesota. Well, now she's licking me. You bite on me, you lick me. She's just a little baby. Crazy little baby. Now she's biting me again. She licked me, now she's biting on me. Don't need to lock doors and we're cars in Arizona. I probably don't need to here. I mean, I do just for habit, but I got cameras outside. Should I travel? But somebody's got to go down a long way. I've never had anything stolen down here in Alabama. Stuff they were stealing stuff left and right, right out of my yard, front of the house. I had a camera in a tree, and they walked in behind the camera and stole some stuff. So really, man, the thieves there were bad. Cat. And I couldn't find decent workers. The workers were horrible. I'm getting some help here. I find decent people here to help out and work and volunteer. In the past, when I was first setting this place up, oh, girl, my goodness. That's what you say. I want to name her Spunky. Listen to Spunky. I think I named her right. Did I not? She's Spunky. I've already got a cat named a lot of meth in Alabama. Yeah, they are. That's a problem. There's meth here, but people can have. I'm very careful who comes down here. Not just anybody comes to my place. I got to prove somebody before they come down here, and they got to be vetted by somebody else. I'm not just having anybody come down to my place. I don't want most people even know I'm down here. My goodness, baby. My goodness, I think I'm gonna set you down. I know you're gonna be right back here. Go over here with your brothers and sisters and sleep. She's gonna be right back at me here in a minute. But anyway, so once again, I want to thank everybody, mods, super chatters, Chris, drops. I want to thank all you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I don't get any ad revenue when I'm running this thing from Zoom. I could if I set up my phone, but I don't know how to set Zoom up that way without going through a very convoluted process. It takes about an hour to set it all up. It seems like that's what it used to be. And so it's just very convoluted. So the super chats help a lot. Appreciate that. Wild child, yeah, she is a wild child, but she's also will calm down and purr, and then yeah, she's a cat. She just thinks I'm going to play like a cat, and I'm not a cat. So just got to get her used to that idea. All right, fun time. Thank you very much. I want to again, I want to thank everybody for being here. Grain Atlanta. Yeah, that's where we're going. So, I kind of stole this and modified it from the night before Christmas. When I say to one and all, good night, good day, wherever you are. It's my modified version. I believe that's kind of how that ends. And if you hadn't noticed, these are all Santa Clauses. And that's actually a Santa Claus, Rocket Santa. Anyway, to one and all, good night, good day, wherever you are, and honor Granny Lana because she always let one say this: ho, ho, ho.